throws McGlinchey on his back with that right hand. That is impressive.
He's an outside pass rusher, but here he just does a bull move, goes straight down the middle and right on.
It has Mac Jones hold the ball just a split second longer, and that allows Chandler Jones to get in there.
Not the sack. It's about running over the left tackle, Dan Moore. Both these guys from Texas A&M. He goes over top of him. It actually affects the throw.
By Joe Tryon-Shoyinka. He's going to fake inside and then spin to the outside. Pretty tough right there on Jake Matthews.
He's got one-on-one out here on the corner. Watch what he does. Oh, Higbee's legs get a little tangled up. That's one of those where you want to make sure in the film room.
Take a shot one-on-one with Donald, and there's almost no way. Watch the way he uses the block against Ryan Bates.
So this is what you wanted to see when you moved him last week. Steele's done an outstanding.
Hubbard uses strength more often than not. Look at this right tackle, just right on his back.
Them off of him. Just watch him. Look at that. He slaps away that upfield arm and then is able to just turn the
lead up the field and then the duck under. He does it so well. The get off, so important. Even with the chip, he made the chip miss.
David Quesenberry against Uche, and this is a mismatch because of the quickness, especially in obvious passing situations. How about the bend? And that was beautiful. I mean, he's quick.
Stein at the right tackle spot's had trouble all day. Maybe expecting a little help there from his back, but either way, Micah Parsons battling through.
So if you're sitting in your living room going, it looks like Myles Garrett threw our quarterback down too hard. Well, you got to remember Josh Allen.
Watch how fast. Go up and then boom, right underneath. And this is where he gets so many of his sacks. He goes up and under, and he has one of the fastest,
So they move him to the other side against Filer, and this is what you're used to seeing. Oh my gosh, the sudden movement from Nick Bosa. And we just talked about how he's doing a pretty good job with cross, but it's never ending. See how low he is to the ground? Most notably, Alex Highsmith goes a little bit of an outside move to Wills, and then he gives him a spin move back to the inside, actually accelerates through that spin.
And against his old team, he brings down the Raider quarterback.
Watch the power move by Mack against Illuminora on the outside. It's just a bull rush.
Donald shot out of a cannon. Watch this.
Some sort of miscommunication. There's Aaron Donald with the quick
matchup with the young rookie. Boom, dip my shoulder, and I get right into Baker Mayfield.
When you push somebody around the edge, the next one, here comes the bull rush right through him. And for no boom, he just wasn't ready for it. Got on his heels. There's a reason why Tom Brady steps up in the pocket. He looks like he was shot out of a cannon around the end of this line of scrimmage. There's a lot of weird things going on out here. Kyle Van Noy with his first sack, and he's working against Ron Armstead, who's probably their best.
One-on-one pass blocking, so essential. Look at Autry, gets his hands on the offensive guard.
Just coming in on third down, working out good. You see they use Micah Parsons and Demarcus Lawrence on the same side. Lawrence flushes Stafford to his right into the hands of Micah Parsons. You see him, he's dealing with chips, he's dealing with edges.
Daniel Jones. Well, they put the tight end Bellinger to his side, but Micah Parsons takes the inside rush, and he just steamrolls Glasgow right there.
Time they've had a negative play, they've been punting. This time, great move there by Bosa.
Watch how quick he is right here. Just using quickness, power to get in there, blindsiding. Yeah, and right here, Al, Tyler Shatley, the left guard, gets a bad responsibility. One-on-one on third down against Quentin Williams. There isn't a guard in the league that's going to win that.
It's disrupting the game, just like Donald on the other side. Just a swim move for a guy.
First down.
Yeah, you see Aaron Donald, he wins quick. Creed Humphrey tries to stop him. That's just bad.
Crosby lined up on the right here. After the play fake, Russell Wilson gets his head around, and he wanted to dump it off.
Ball was going to be just a little token fake. Watch how fast he wins. Cam Akers tries to get a piece of him, but that's a big man.
Jerick McKinnon is here, and he's going to help to the outside, but the problem is that Wiley gets beat inside. So then he has a straight shot. But yeah, Uche, one of those guys who's...
Look at this rush by Garrett. Just, there's not a lot of guys that could bend their body.
speed off the edge. Outside the tight end. Watch the little jerk and then rip underneath there to get.
Now you've got a twist and a stunt. So you have Chubb who's going to go flash right before his eyes, and now the linebacker goes right around him. Chubb actually beats him to the inside.
Bosa on the outside is on Waller. Waller misses it, so Carr just starts getting in the way. Well, that wasn't even much of getting in the way.
How fast Crosby gets off the ball. He is shot right out of a cannon, and they just have no chance. I mean, over there. Look, Alex Bars has nothing for him. You see here, he just kind of gets into him and then arm over.
Right here. With those snazzy red cleats, boom. And that fancy handwork, throwing linemen around.
The one thing you're thinking about is Derrick Henry. Derrick Henry, get after Derrick Henry. But on the way to Derrick Henry, if they're going to try and play.
Max Crosby and Andrew Wiley, college teammates, and Max Crosby just dominated.
Penalties declined. Fourth down.
So not only did Donald get held, he still got the strip sack.
All 5 games. Yeah, watch Judon going up against Taylor Decker, goes right around him. And what I love, he uses.
I'll spare everyone singing the theme song because no one needs to hear that, but what a pass rush by Burns. See how quickly he got to the edge.
See him coming from the left-hand side here. And this is what they want to do. They want to get you in that second and long, coach, force you to throw the football. And they've got guys all over that can rush the passer. And there, Cam Hayward just running right through the offensive line for the big play in the backfield. Loss of 6.
And the number 97, and he's going to show you how to get another grown man out of your way. Look how he uses his hands and pushes the left guard straight into Derek Carr's back. And maybe this has something to do with Derek Carr. No, we're not going to talk about that. But Cam Hayward getting it done the right way. And then look how he...
Crosby did it last week. Go up. Spin right under. And you have no...
350 pounds, a veteran, and this is good to see. Boy, he is athletic with those hands and getting away from the rookie Linderbaum, who's got a bright...
We've said it all day. And the Rams have to be in drop-back situation.
Aaron Donald, 99, takes Smith right back, and Brady doesn't have time.
Check this out. He goes straight to the bull rush here, and then extends those arms, gets him off, gets the sack, gets the fumble, scoop it, score it.
All day he's been making an impact here and there, but here he really comes through and gets his first sack.
Close enough. We talked about the matchup. Here it comes right around the edge. It's going to be Montez Sweat against Evan Neal, and just get used to it. That's going to be happening all night long.
He's played in those rivalry games. It was the Broncos against Brady and them. But,
that's right.
But just watch this. And he's doing this against Decker.
Expecting Judon to come to the outside. Instead, he puts his foot in the ground and gives a speed rush inside.
He had Tyler Lockett against Tyler Hall in the slot. And it looked like Lockett was just coming open, but he couldn't throw that football because of the pressure.
He just never felt Frank Clark coming off that backside. He just keeps running. And these pass situations, he's down here at the bottom of the screen, working on left tackle Andrew Thomas, and he's just so fast.
Working relentless pressure, and finally drops back to the inside and is able to get Mariota down.
First ball straight up the field, and then a hard turn, and watch him almost fall into the quarterback. He gets so low, he is just right down at the ground level almost to be able to turn the corner. 18.5 sacks a year ago.
The deep part. Watch him work back inside right here. Now watch. Bam. Throw by. And then go get the quarter.
Coaching is just finding a matchup that you like. Right now, they really like Aaron Donald working there on the left side against Tyler Smith. At some point, Dallas is going to have to make an adjustment. They're going to have a tight end edge, a back help.
But they want him for December and January. He's got rare bend, elite speed.
Even his coach says his mind.
He comes here and then works his way all the way underneath to try to test the communication of the offensive line, and it worked out perfectly. Pryor, the right tackle, unable.
Judon's there as well, and there's just nowhere for Colt McCoy. Uche, he just bull rushes Beecham out there at right tackle, but Judon working against Josh Jones on the opposite side, he gets right back into McCoy's lap as well. So if Uche doesn't make the play
anymore, so You get a little bit heavy, you lean, bend at the waist instead of your knees, and a guy like Brandon Graham is going to go right around.
Collins of the Cincinnati Bengals, he was one of their money-free agents. He basically changed this entire offensive line. And
he's on the inside, and Browning's been winning out here. The two of them together, and the line slides right, but still you got to block him. Even on the backside, Draymond Jones with a spin move.
All starts with Judon going up against Penei Sewell, who's actually been doing really, really well all season long. And the effort of Judon.
You're going to see him lined up on the edge here in that stand-up position. Remember, he had started off as an inside linebacker and said, that's just not my thing. I want to try it on the outside.
Forces him to step up. He knows who's inside of him. And Frank Clark retraces for the sack. Heck of a play. Oh, this was some move. Watch Hutchinson here up the field. He beat him with speed earlier. Now goes with the inside move. There's the grab at the tail end of it.
It really is about Karlaftis. But look, Chris Jones, look at the hand use. Alex Bars has not had an answer.
Split McGlinchey and Burford. Look at this. Both of those guys trying to stop.
He's up against the rookie, Nicholas Petit-Frere, and I thought because
Chris Jones right here against Alex Bars, and you see the forklift, he gets that outside arm up in the air and then is able to duck underneath it.
Right here on the edge for Yosh Nijman. When you give an athlete like Hutchinson that kind of running start, it's almost impossible to stop.
Watch him get skinny to get inside Burford right here, and he seemed almost offended. And I said, hey, at your age, you know, you can't quite do what...
And he said, what number? What guy?
Yeah,
I don't know anything about it. And I was like, of course you don't. Every guy knows if you're playing against a rookie. And Cam came through big right there.
Sometimes when you just get beat like this, and again, we've seen so many times in his career, Nick Bosa, he's just got so much speed and power and closes.
Garrett just off of the edge, just how fast he is and how he's able to bend and turn the corner. Just a little stutter step inside.
Yeah, one of the Dallas defenders is down here, but you can see Micah Parsons, he just wins on an inside move on the right tackle, Sam.
Quarterback right around the dish, and that's exactly what they needed. You see the change-up in coverage right there, Kevin.
Browning starts off with speed, going up against the left tackle, gets underneath, and then squeezes right in between.
You're going to see Anthony Nelson just working on the rookie.
Woods, it was a well-thrown ball. Here's the pressure from Parsons on that blind side.
Wondering when this was going to start happening for this young man. Getting a chance now with Dean Lowry out to play a lot more. He is an electric guy.
Watch Bosa coming around the edge here. Oh, gosh. Just walks him back, has him.
And then comes the field goal group.
I'll tell you what you just said about Parsons. Pretty good job here by Dobbs to be able to realize, oh boy, here he comes, a guy I've heard about all week. And he delivers. Actually tries to help out here. But what a dangerous throw right into the teeth of this. You see Haskins helps and allows him to step up.
You're going to pair it with the pass rush, right? The pass rush is going to get there, but the reason it's getting there, look, Andy Dalton has, and here's the difference, right? You're getting the pressure, but there's nowhere for Gardner Minshew to go with the football. I mean, they're just going to continue to press, a little bit of a bull rush right here. He's got the athleticism to get around you, and when you're sitting on that, he's just going to drive you back into the quarterback's lap.
Sack of the season.
Well, Lawrence lined up. He's going to be going against the former All-Pro Quentin Nelson. Just one-on-one, and he's able to push Nelson right back in as Ellinger tries to step.
Get kind of at the level of the quarterback, right? Once you get to his level, you got to put your foot in the ground and come back, right? He matches that level, spins back inside on Jordan Mailata and gets the sack.
How about Granderson there, who finished last week's game with the sack on Deshaun Watson, already 2 sacks.
He is lined up on the inside shoulder of LeRaven Clark, and that creates the one-on-one opportunity because Roos, the guard, has to kick out. Once he kicks out,
give Evan Neal an opportunity, and he doesn't even get a hand or anything to slow Demarcus Lawrence down.
Take a look. Just working on the interior and talking to Matt Burke, their defensive line coach. He said, we're going to do everything we can to put him in position.
Kenny Pickett goes right inside Dan Moore, but time after time this season.
Taylor Decker right here sets him up to the outside, moves back to the inside. He's got that strength.
brings down Foles. Well, Khalil Mack, he's still a great player and in the Pro Bowl. Hadn't had a sack since week 10, but he can wreak havoc when he gets it going. And he gets right through the rookie there, Ryman.
Out in the route, but it means they're going to have Sorrell one-on-one against Bosa. Not bad initially, but not good enough.
In the NFL this season for a team.
Hey, man, don't tell me about 13 years. The hand swat right there, gets around the tight edge, puts the...
Able to clean it up.
Well, that's the problem, right? At some point, you've got to go one-on-one. It's going to be Braxton Jones versus Nick Bosa. And it's right there, just that transition.
That drive would have been extended with a 15-yard penalty, and instead... they give up a sack.
He has a chip. There's no need to sit. See how deep he gets? Now he gives.
Watch this move. Up, under. Here we go. This is signature stuff from Randy Gregory. Dallas.
That's not easy. There's Aaron Donald, big 99 right there with the bull rush. And then watch him chase this thing down.
Standing around blocking no one. But look, he's working the center here. Myers, and then he thinks he's going to pass him off, and no one's there, and he's just relentless to Roger.
That's exactly what that is. Look at the leverage. He gets right up under Greg Little, pushes him right back into Teddy Bridgewater's.
They walk up Alex Singleton here, which holds Pipkins just enough, and then you got Browning who's coming by right by him. So he's thinking that maybe Singleton might be coming. He has to protect the inside, and just that hesitation gives Browning with that speed.
Who I think has a chance to be one of the really top young players in the
with is that you're going to move Hutchinson to the open end. He's been playing on the tight end. Berry comes in at right tackle, and the great Chris Jones, who's having a great season.
Watch him coming off the edge here against Trent Brown. It's the left arm that he's holding, and that's the arm that he uses to wrap him up and ultimately bring him down.
In this case, Bosa, you can see him here working off the right tackle, Andrew Wiley, and he just keeps rushing.
Well, they got Samaje Perine to that side to try to help out, and Myles Garrett, of course.
Reddick provides the pressure on the right. And then Hargrave will continue with that relentless approach and strip set.
Let's take a look at Tim Settle. Maybe the biggest change, in my opinion, other than Von Miller on this defense, was they added a lot of big...
Not that big defensive tackle you're used to, right? That's going to be right there in your face.
Comes Nwosu. Applying the pressure outside.
And now he goes up against a center who's going to come down. Quesenberry, watch this. He tries to come down. He's beaten right off the ball. He's so quick. Here he is right here. He's just going to use quickness and power. 2 sacks last week. This guy's really starting to come into his own. JG, the defensive coordinator, the right tackle, who's had a great night and having a great year. He fakes outside which he's been doing all night. He's going up against one of the best in the NFL right now on the inside. Hargrave, look at the power he has in his.
Watch the right side of the screen. Here's what we're talking about. They don't get a ton of fake on that play action, and Burns just
leave last week, and Stidham took one under center. Turner 98 came through, and it looked like they were going to get the initial block from James, the center.
Let's see how he goes.
Well, they got the rookie Evan Neal at right tackle, and here comes Demarcus Lawrence, and Neal just is not anticipating the speed that Lawrence has off the edge. Doesn't quite even get squared up on him, and that was pretty easy.
On this side, watch Von Miller's coming underneath Ed Oliver right there. He gets inside Ed Ingram.
TJ Watt, we talked about the matchup right here. Ramczyk, TJ Watt. Watch the inside, right? Go to punch the inside, slap that inside away.
His battles more than anyone, including Aaron Donald this year. 25% of the time, you can't go one-on-one with him, and he just bull rushes right past Taylor.
And in comes Brad. Well, Bradley Pinion's going to come in to punt.
How about the strength of Derek Brown, and then chases Mariota.
We'll see what the call is.
Holding. Offense, number 60. That penalty's declined. The result of the play is 4th down.
And so it is a whole.
Just that, right?
Yeah, the Vikings have really done a great job, and that's rare right there. Darisaw is one of the really.
Doesn't pick up the rookie, and then look at Preston Smith, known for his power.
Against Patrick Mahomes, Derwin James, the only thing that's too bad is as smart as anybody out there. He knows because they've got both tackles wide, it's going to be a temptation for Herbert.
who came in, the backup, go against Lawrence. One-on-one, he should have had help, actually, so he was trying to help him. That's not on coach.
Well, this is understanding protection right here. Crosby's going to spin inside. He knows he's got the one-on-one. He reads it, so when
it goes back to the 33-yard line, and this time he beats the rookie Cole Strange.
Here's Reddick, number 7, working against the rookie Bernard Ryman. And it's the second move right there. They got it done.
The quarterback to the right, you're not as concerned over the defensive end to your left. Well, when it's number 11, Micah Parsons, you have to be worried about where he is.
Anybody that wants to play defensive end, look how low he gets underneath Donovan Smith. Going up against Donovan Smith, they do a half mini chip. He just keeps bull rushing and gets in there as well. Look at how fast he gets there. Look at the burst that he has. Those first 2 steps.
This is Uche rushing on the left side, and he's going against Blake Brandel. Inside move, no help.
Well, Salyer's been playing well with Watt coming off the edge up top. He has been playing well.
Hassan Reddick is just going upfield on him. This time you're going to bend at the waist a little bit, so you get a little bit forward. So just a really good job by Hassan Reddick, using his speed on the edge, but in a couple of different varieties.
And it really starts with Josh Uche. Watch how he just bends around Colton Miller, and that's really something he's really finding.
Who caused the problem for Brett Rippon?
Well, who else? It's J.J. Watt, and as he's going by Rippon here, said, hey, I'm going to be going by him. Something we hadn't seen from J.J. Watt in a long time. Just can't get there.
On this side by Highsmith, and I believe he's working on the rookie. Yep, there he is, Iquanu, who has had a tremendous season.
Credit for the sack, but Ryan Tannehill needs to move up, and there's big number 97, Hargrave, just pushing the pocket.
Hubbard coming right there off the edge. Does a great job using his hands, getting off. It's 5.5 sacks this year now, 38 pressures. Wiley.
Here's Deron Payne. He's actually going to own that inside of Mark Lewinsky. Goes, rips right around him, gets to Daniel Jones in a hurry. No chance for Daniel Jones.
3rd and short. Now Sweat just runs right by him. Little outside hop move, and he just turns that corner so fast. Tannehill doesn't have the opportunity to step up in the pocket.
Oh, yeah, I'm one of the best in the league, and you see why he's one of the best. Right up the gut, fighting through the double team, breaks right through it. No way that Taylor Heineke's going to get out of his grasp.
I tell you what, watch. First he's going to get a little bit of a chip by Alec Ingold right there. Now the second back comes in for the cut. Jeff Wilson should know.
Your defensive player of the year in the league.
Well, they're going to have to chip. They're not going to be able to go one-on-one.